Hi, welcome back. And if it's your first time joining, welcome. Today, I would like to tell you a story about Elisha in the Bible. Now, many of you might have heard about Elijah, but I know that few people have heard about Elisha. Well, Elijah was actually Elisha's predecessor. Now, they were both prophets in the Bible. The story today is not a very long one. It's a very short one because there are so many stories right there in Second Kings about Elisha. But I'll take my time and take you through them. Generally, I plan on not giving my take on the stories, but just to present them in an objective way. And so I will leave you to think about the stories. What can I learn from these Bible stories? What is Jehovah trying to tell me about these stories? What can I learn? He's trying to tell you something. No, there was this woman. She was now a widow because her husband had died. Her husband also would have served as a prophet, probably not as famous as Elijah and Elisha. And there was nothing in her house. Everything had run down to nothing. She had two sons. And, she said to Elisha, that my husband, he served God. And there's nothing in my house for me or for my two sons to have. And to make matters worse, my husband had some debts. And those persons, they are coming and they have said they're going to take my sons and they're going to make them into slaves. So I don't know what to do because I really have nothing to pay them and I cannot afford to lose my sons. And, Elisha was concerned, but him being a man of faith, he said to her, "What do you have in your house?" And she said, "I don't have anything. The only thing I have is just a little bit of oil." And he said, "You know what? When you go home, I want you to go to your neighbors, gather all the containers that you can. And if you don't have enough, just go to your neighbors and borrow as many containers as you can. And just start pouring that oil that you have." I'm thinking that this woman must be like wondering, didn't he just hear that I say it's just a little bit of oil I have? What is he telling me about gathering these containers? But this woman, she acted in faith and she borrowed all the containers. She and her son, they gathered all the containers that they could get. And as Elisha had instructed, close the door and just start pouring and pouring. And each time you pour, you put away those containers that are full. And that's exactly what she did. She went home and she started to pour and pour and pour. And she started to put containers away, containers full of oil. From the little bit of oil, she could fill so many containers. And then she said to her son, "Give me another container." And he said, "That's all the containers we have." And so she ended up with all these bottles filled with oil. The moment he said that's the last one, the oil stopped running. And so she went back to Elisha and said, "Elisha, now I have all of this oil. What am I supposed to do?" And Elisha instructed her, "Go and sell those containers of oil and pay your debt. These people can no longer come for your sons because you will have enough to pay off your debt." So I want you to look into your lives and see what can you learn from this story. Probably you're lacking in faith. Probably somebody has spoken. That little voice might have spoken to you and tell you this is what you need to do. But because it's just a little bit of oil, you are there saying, it can't be. But just exercise your faith. I promise I would not be subjective. I would remain objective, but try as I might, I can't, because I want you to exercise your faith. Whatever issue, whatever challenge you're having today, exercise some faith, just like that woman. Go inside, Close that door and start to pour the oil. Thank you.